Hello and welcome to The Perch from the Wyoming Tribune-Eagle. I'm Noah Zahn, the local government reporter here. This week we're bringing you a couple stories of some unionizing efforts in Cheyenne and some strikes that occurred this week. One that our crime and public safety reporter Ivy Secrest covered on Tuesday. The Starbucks locations in Cheyenne were participating in the National Starbucks Workers Union strike. And also I covered the employees of Sierra Hills Assisted Living, which is owned by Edgewood Healthcare, began their strike and they held a demonstration on Thursday. And I went and attended that and spoke with some of the employees there, and they shared with me what their primary concerns are. And I'll play some of my conversations with them, but before I do, I'll give a bit of background on it. The primary reason that the employees at Sierra Hills are striking is for better working conditions and safer working conditions. They don't think that it's safe for them or the residents right now. And a lot of the issues that it sounds like started a couple of years ago, shortly after the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic, whenever Sierra Hills implemented a hospice care, which provides care for end-of-life services. And most of the staff at Sierra Hills are CNAs, and there's some RNs as well. But hospice care, the employees have told me that the hospice nurses that Sierra Hills contracts to assist with that are only there for about 2 hours every week. So the rest of the time, that burden of care falls onto typically the CNAs, who are not trained for that kind of service. And they've even said that it's unsafe for them, specifically because at an assisted living facility, it's different from a skilled nursing facility where employees are allowed to use machinery like mechanical lifts to easily move the residents. At an assisted living facility, they are not allowed to do that. So they've told me that it can be dangerous for both the residents and staff whenever the CNAs need to physically lift and move the patients without the assistance of any equipment. And they've also said that there's been reports of asbestos and bed bugs and potential black mold as well. And so in February of this year, the employees there unionized so that they can start negotiating, and they'll hold bargaining meetings for a better contract that takes the safety of the employees and residents into mind. However, since they've unionized almost a full year ago now, the employees have told me that there's been really no progress in negotiations with Edgewood Healthcare, again, who owns Sierra Hills, in getting better and getting a better contract. And that's what the reason for this strike has been. They began the strike on December 24th and will continue until January 2nd, and they'll return unconditionally to work after that. So here's some of my conversations with the employees there. First, you'll hear Taylor Ewig, who is a CNA there. She's been there for about a decade now. And then after that, you'll hear Jen Handelman, who's also a CNA there, and she's been there for around 14 years, she told me, and she said that over that time she's really seen this facility decline from a high-quality facility to the state that it's in now.
Well, this is an unfair labor practice strike, of course. Our goal is to get the company's attention and get them to start taking it seriously and stop committing unfair labor practices. One of the unfair labor practices that they've committed is bargaining in bad faith.
Sure.
Yeah. And they've just really, we've been unionized for 10 months now and we've made close to zero progress on the contract when it comes to the actual important stuff.
Yeah. And since the last time we spoke, leading up to this strike, have you heard anything more from them, or has it still just been kind of
I've heard nothing
silence,
from them.
really?
Yeah, complete silence.
Kind of pretended that this isn't happening.
Yeah, they even coming up to this, they'd been meeting with us every week, which was very unusual. I think they were hoping to avert the strike, but they just didn't do it. They did barely anything. So But since the last time we met for negotiations, they put us out until like
February, maybe. They wouldn't accept any of the dates that were asked.
So we're going to go, I don't know, 4 or 6 weeks here without bargaining.
Oh, really?
After the last session, yeah.
And I can't remember, it was either one of you or William told me that they're offering benefits to people that are opting out of participating in the strike. Was that, did anybody choose to do that?
What? They were, they did offer incentive bonuses
okay.
Yes, for people not to strike. And I think everyone who chose not to strike just automatically gets the bonus, so it's not like they, sign up for it really.
What was the bonus? Was it just like a cash bonus?
Cash bonus, yeah.
No, taxable. I mean,
Well, yeah, of course, everything's
taxable.
That's a given. They don't.
And did you have?
They get worried about taxes.
Were there a handful of people that did opt out?
Yes,
for that
there
bonus?
were a few. Most of them that did are still very pro-union. They just literally could not afford to go 8 days without work.
Sure.
Because they have families and it's hard.
So you guys are all going 8 days unpaid?
Unpaid, completely unpaid, yes.
Yes, they have refused to pay any holiday pay or benefits that you might have accrued while we're on strike.
Yeah. And do you feel like they, during the strike, you gave them 10 days notice?
12 days notice.
12 days. Did they adequately get enough traveling nurses or CNAs?
Absolutely
Oh, really?
not. Yeah.
Absolutely
What does it look like in there right now, then?
Complete chaos.
Really?
Yeah, we gave them time to bring in travelers.
Yeah.
The company opted not to do that, from what I can tell, and they're just running like bare bones, like skeleton crew. I think there's like one CNA for the entire building right now. Yeah, so it's awful, and that was the company's decision, of course. I assume they're going to try to put that on the union.
Yeah.
But that was completely their decision to go without. They're just trying to save money, as they do, I guess.
Yeah. So it sounds like it's still quite an uphill battle, and you're not hearing much from their end. Is there any? Do you guys have any leverage? Do you feel like on your end, or is this just doing what you can here?
This is the leverage.
Yeah.
We're doing this. I don't know what it may come to after this if they don't meet with us more or start. Meeting us actually halfway in negotiations instead of just blowing us off. We do have several of the unfair labor practice charges pending with the NLRB, and we are hoping that soon they will rule on some of those, which is the purpose. We're kind of hoping that the strike will kind of speed that process along a little bit, get the attention of the NLRB as well as the company.
And the strike today, and so you guys are doing it again in a few days. Is it just everyone who can make it, or you guys taking shifts out here? I know it's pretty cold today, so.
We didn't really discuss it.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm staying here until 4. I don't know about everyone else.
Yeah.
Oh, there's Stacy.
Well,
Yeah, they keep showing up, so this is great.
Yeah. Well, I guess, you haven't added too much. Do you have more to add for what we've been chatting about what you're doing here and what you hope this message sends to the community?
The community has supported us a lot, and we definitely appreciate that and appreciate that they can see what we're trying to do, and that we are concerned for the residents as well as ourselves. And we're just trying to do the right thing, and this is the only way we had left to do. So.
We did include many things in our contract proposal that we feel will really benefit the residents. So we're here for us as well as them. It seems like the company, though, does not want to. They don't have the residents' best interest.
I've tried to reach out to them, and I haven't heard anything from them either. Have you heard anything from the residents? Are they supportive of this, or do they not know much about
Some
this?
of the residents are very supportive. I don't know if you can look in the window there. One of the residents asked us.
Is that a sign there?
Yeah, the resident approached us,
Yeah.
asked us for a sign, and they put it up in their window there.
Yeah.
And there's some of the residents in there that have the signs up on their doors in the building.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They do support us.
Yes,
And
many of them.
many of them really do. And we love them.
Yeah.
That's the truth of it. And it's hard for us to be like, how many CNAs are on? They say half of one. And we're like, oh, that's not great.
Yeah, it sounds bad in there right now.
And so you guys are going back, I can't remember which day in January.
Second.
It was January 2nd.
Yeah.
So are things going to look any different, do you think? Or will it be business as usual? You just hope this will move the needle a little bit?
Edgewood, be fair! At least we care!
Yeah. I don't know what to expect when we go back. Management and local management has been okay with us. We have no real issue with local management.
At least we care!
Things may be a little contentious between us and them, and they're not really the bad guy here. It's all corporate. You know, corporate's on local management to be as they get as much work out of them as possible. Same with the rest of us, you know.
Yes, they're equally overworked and underpaid, overwhelmed with duties they can't perform. Yeah.
And so during the 8 days of this strike, what have you just been spending time at home? Just kind
It's
of.
been Christmas, so we've done Christmas stuff.
It was kind of nice for all of us for a change because,
we got Christmas off. That never happens.
that never happens. Yeah.
Usually we all work on Christmas, or many of us, I guess.
At the protest, which was just outside at the corner of Del Ranch Boulevard and College Drive outside the Sierra Hills facility, there were about, maybe at the time I was there, around 20 people who were out holding signs. And I spoke with several of them, including some people from the kitchen staff who were participating in the protest. They're part of the union as well, and they wanted to show solidarity with the CNAs who were experiencing the primary safety concerns that catalyzed this protest. In one in particular who I spoke with, Nika Kelly, who's been a cook there for, she told me, around a year and a half. She told me a little bit about some experiences that she has had regarding discrimination with the administrative staff at Sierra Hills, as well as just a look inside of what she's hearing from the residents and from her coworkers at Sierra Hills.
In August, we had a director change.
Okay.
It took...
Like local here or with Edgewood?
Oh, just with our kitchen here at Sierra Hills. When our director left, it took about a month for a new director to come in. July. Yeah, it was about July. New director came in, and any and everything that went wrong in the kitchen, whether I was at work or not, was my fault. It's my fault. And I'm like, I'm not even at work. How is that my fault? I haven't been in the refrigerator for 48 hours.
Yeah.
Well, it shouldn't have been moved. I didn't move it, kind of thing. You know, our director, not by me personally, because I tend to see the best in people.
Sure.
But my fellow staff members, both nurses, CNAs, and kitchen, I will say all three departments, they saw an entity, and not an entity, they saw an element that I didn't see, and they accused our new director of being racist. Not the director we have today, but the director we had in between July and today.
Okay.
They saw racist elements in his behavior, and I didn't see it because I don't see that in people. I do my best to see the absolute best, you know, Noah? Yeah. And so as little things started happening, and hearing that, I just started paying more attention, and I can see those same elements too. I am by far not of the higher majority in this city, but I come from a family that is very open and honest about where we are, where we come from, and where we're going in our lives. And so I do my absolute best not to portray such a negative connotation onto my supervisors or anyone that I work with, for that matter. And it was rough. I started looking for other jobs. I was looking to quit my job, and this is what I love being here. The residents here are absolutely phenomenal. Our nursing staff, both CNAs and nurses, are absolutely wonderful. Our kitchen staff, makes amazing food. We get compliments from the residents on any number of occasions. We do big Christmas dinners. We do big Thanksgiving dinners for our residents and their families, and they love us. They come in, they're like, "Oh, Mom talks about you all the time. She loves your food." You know, Dad is doing great. He's so much better than where he was. And to see that Edgewood just doesn't care that we care, and the level of concern and care that we have for our residents, and the camaraderie that we as the staff have to make sure that our residents are cared for, is absolutely phenomenal. It is disgusting that they just don't have that level of care that we have inside of this house. So,
and what is it in the kitchen right now? What does it look like over these 8 days of the strike? Are they understaffed, or are they going to...
Understaffed.
They're understaffed.
We're understaffed everywhere in the building.
The CNAs were saying that they didn't feel that Edgewood adequately restaffed the people who were participating in this strike.
I'm inclined to agree with that. I don't think that they did.
They did not.
It's the same story in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And what are you hearing from the residents? Are they supportive of this strike? I saw there was a sign in someone's window over there.
We have a handful of residents that are very understanding. We have others that aren't quite aware. Because keep in mind, we do have some residents that are teetering on into that dementia phase. But the ones that do know, they respect it. They understand it. We do have a resident that is fully supportive of us. But we have other residents who are like, well, these are all lies. When the news, when it broke in your newspaper, they were like, that's lies. And it's like, no, it's really not. We do our best to protect you guys, and we don't tell you guys what's happening in the background, but these are the things that are happening, you know. And if we were to literally tell you everything that was happening inside of this building, mind you, you're one resident or two residents, there are 80 residents. You don't see what's happening with our other residents. You don't see what's happening in hospice care with our hospice patients that we have that reside here. So not seeing any of those things, you can only judge for yourself. You can't judge for the entire facility. And they were like, oh, one of them, I didn't realize that was happening. Yes, dear, it is happening. What is in the newspaper, what you read, is absolutely 100% true. You know, because, I mean, we wouldn't be here if we were lying about everything, would we? You know? This would be a whole lot of work if someone was lying about anything. But we just want what's best for our residents.
The Sierra Hills protest took place on Thursday from 2 to 4, again outside the Sierra Hills facility, which is owned by Edgewood Healthcare. And they intend to hold another demonstration in the coming days. They'll be out there with their picket signs again. And there were several people there that were not even part of the Sierra Hills staff that wanted to participate in the protest to show solidarity with the workers there, or just community members coming by who were curious about what was going on there. And so another person who I met at this protest was Maddie Oates, who was from representing the Starbucks union for Wyoming, and she helped organize a protest 2 days earlier on Tuesday for the Starbucks workers in Cheyenne. And Ivy, you were at that protest and covering that, and you actually chatted with Maddie there as well. She was at this protest to stand in solidarity and told me the importance of unions being stronger together in numbers, and that they should support each other so that they can have a stronger voice. But what was the strike that you attended like, and what was your conversation with Maddie like?
Christmas Eve marked the 5th and final day of the Starbucks Workers United strike. They had about 5,000 workers at 300 locations across the country walk out over a 5-day period. They shut down over 60 stores. And in Wyoming, Maddie Oates, who is the Wyoming bargaining delegate for the Starbucks union, we had every location in Cheyenne shut down except for the one on Yellowstone Road. All of the people in Cheyenne who wanted Starbucks were redirected to Yellowstone Road to see Maddie and her coworkers protesting for better wages, better medical benefits, a better starting pay. And really what they were looking for is for union members to have a livable wage. They're looking to get up to about $20 an hour, which might sound like a lot in comparison to what a lot of people are making, but when you look at rent, they felt that that was a reasonable income for someone if you're living off of the Starbucks income. They've been in negotiations since April, and I think Maddie said it best.
So what brought us here today was we've been negotiating since April. Negotiations have really stalled on the company's end in the last couple months. Last week, they offered us 34 cents for yearly raises, which is nowhere near where we are offering our proposal. So, we're all out here to have a livable wage and fight for better health coverage benefits. Many outstanding economic proposals that the company still has on their side of the table. So we're here to put the pressure on the company. We want them to pick up the pace. We want them to come back to the table with something real that we can settle with for the next 3 years once our contract ratifies. So, yeah, that's what brings us out here.
Fantastic. What are you guys asking for?
So I can't go too deep into negotiations because it's still negotiations. But we're asking for $20 at least to start. As a minimum. Our California stores, they're already there. They're getting the $20 because of their their state minimum. Yes, thank you. Yeah, so.
Okay, gotcha. So you're pushing for that 20 because is that the bar for livable in Wyoming? How do you guys?
So initially we had a proposal that we had a rent ratio in there. So due to city rent prices, it was going to be all based on geographical. So it's going to vary across the country, obviously, because what we pay here, what Denver pays, what LA pays, New York, it's all very different. So we had a very broke down table for the company just to determine all this, and they turned it down the second we handed it to them. So we're trying to work on their position, but we're also asking for something liberal. So at least another $1, $2, $3 an hour is really what we're asking for.
Right. Tell me a little bit, what do you think for consumers that want to support you guys, what can they do?
Yeah, so you can go to our Starbucks Workers United page. There's actually a tab in there for allies to get support. It gets them on the email list, so they A, know what's going on with negotiations. B, they can see when actions are taking place, such as our strike today. They can come show up. There's maps on there so that they can see where certain stores are holding actions. But yeah, come support your union stores, come shop, see us, talk with us, ask us what we're doing. That's really all we're asking for. It's just local support.
Fantastic. And then any closing thoughts, misconceptions about the strike, anything that you want to address that I didn't ask about or give you an opportunity to talk about?
We have a lot of commenters, not even a lot of commenters. There's a small amount of people that don't really support us where, we'll get the comment like, oh, well, why don't you get another job? Like, why don't you go somewhere else? And it's like, I could go somewhere else and be in the same position where management doesn't hear us, retaliation happens, the benefits aren't there. And it's like us workers, we can sit on the sidelines and watch and wait and hope something happens, or we can collectively come together as a union, stand united with each other, speak up, and fight for what's right.
Thank you, Ivy, for that. And that's all from us here this week at The Perch, rounding up some of the protests and union activity going on locally. Be sure to tune back in next week for our first episode of the new year, where we'll be rounding up our top stories of 2024 and chatting about those with some of our reporters. So be sure to tune back in next Wednesday for that.